Alright guys, welcome back to the show. He-Man is back. Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2, Episode 6. This is called Cleaved and Twain. I want to say Cleaved and Twain. Is that right? Okay, I should have checked that before we started. It is indeed Cleaved and Twain. It picks up directly where the last episode finished, at the end of part 1, and no major surprises really for me here. It's going to go the way I thought it was going to go, setting up Teela to take her mother's place as the sorceress of Castle Grayskull. It just depends how we're going to get there now, but that's not to say there's no lack of surprises for me going forward in this. The episode begins, and spoilers, if you haven't seen the episode yet and you want to check it out without any spoilers, don't be watching the rest of this video or listening to the rest of this podcast. I am going to spoilerize it in a big bad way right here, and here we go. The episode opens on a flashback of a young sorceress and man-at-arms and Teela as a baby, and sorceress basically hands the baby over to man-at-arms, and she's heading off to do the whole sorceress thing. Now, I still have a couple of blank spots in the original series, and in all fairness, quite a bit of the actual lore of the show. Huge fan of the original series, but I haven't seen it properly since I was a child. So I'm just really skimming the surface right now. But if you've seen the first 6 episodes of the original He-Man, the Masters of the Universe from the 80s, you know Teela is the daughter of the sorceress. But the implication that it gives here at the start of this episode in Revelation is that Man-at-Arms may in fact be the biological father to Teela, although we've all been told and she was adopted by him, he was the adopted father. And I'm going to these reviews literally after watching the episode, so if that's off as we go further into the end of the series, then I do apologise. But definitely the implication was there at the start that there is a relationship between Man-at-Arms and the sorceress, and he actually calls her my love and she calls him my Duncan, so there is genuine affection and love there between the two of them. And as she gives over the baby, she is, it's almost like she's using like body paints to like put these markings on her face and arms and whatnot. She put this little mark on the forehead of the baby Teela and says this is a charm that will help her whenever she most needs it. And then they part ways, and we come back to the present day, and Skeletor is now Super Skeletor, God Skeletor, and he's getting ready to take over. Of course, at the end of the last episode, he had stabbed Prince Adam through the back with the Sword of Power, so he is in a bad way at the beginning of this. And Skeletor, along with Evelyn and Beastman, have the upper hand. They've got them under Evelyn's magic. They have them bound up, all apart from Adam. And Skeletor's given the big bad guy hero speech at the beginning of the episode, and he's the sorceress, she's still in the beam of energy, and he's giving her a lot of grief for, instead of whenever the magic returned to Eternia, she let the planet itself take in the magic before herself, the selfless act. And his words was, if you didn't do that, you might have seen me coming. And Adam then gets up, and nice little piece here, he gets up to try and confront Skeletor. And Skeletor had just said this is going to be the day everybody remembers when Skeletor kills He-Man. And Adam gets up and he's like, I'm not He-Man. And then he goes into, if you remember the intro to the 80s He-Man, the Master of the Universe, I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and Defender of Castle Grayskull. And Prince Adam actually goes into that little speech at the beginning of this episode, but he gets pretty quickly gets his ass handed to him, and Skeletor is just about to take the move to take everybody out at this point, and the sorceress uses essentially the last of her magic. She's not at full power, but she steps in to save everyone, and she confronts Skeletor, and she uses her magic to try and get them out of the castle and send them back to the palace. And she does manage to do it, but at the last second, Evelyn steps in and cuts off the magic spell from Man-at-Arms. She's like, not so fast. She keeps him there, but the sorceress manages, using her magic with her one hand, she's holding Skeletor back, but he's got the power sword, so he's fairly easy fighting against her at this point, but gives her enough time to transport the rest of them out, Prince Adam, Teela and Andra, back to the palace. And Skeletor has finally had enough of the sorceress and runs her through with the power sword. Mortal wound. She's going to go out. There's no major spoiler or surprise if you're clued into the point that I am. We all knew from the first 5 episodes this was a story they were going to tell. Teela taking her mother's place, which means either way, the present sorceress has to go for the new sorceress to take her place, and she does actually die in this episode. So we don't get the mother-daughter face-to-face thing quite yet. And saying that, it is sword and sorcery after all. It's Masters of the Universe. The rules are not the same as everywhere else. Chances are when Teela eventually does take up the throne in Grayskull, she can commune with her mother, a bit like a Jedi afterlife spell, Jedi ghost spells. So, in saying that does happen in this episode. So at the palace, Adam, he's on his back, pretty much at death's door, and Teela comes over to try and help him, and it's like, we need to stop the bleeding. And she rips open his shirt. You see the hole in his side where the power sword came through him, and she's holding her 2 hands above his body, and the next thing, these 2 ghostly hands come and grab hold of hers and gently lead them across to the proper point. And then the little painting that the sorceress in the flashback put on the baby Teela lights up on her forehead, and magical power comes out and heals Prince Adam. And it is the younger version of the sorceress in ghostly form that's sitting in front of Teela, guiding her through this process. So after that, that's pretty much setting up for the huge battle between Mega Skeletor and the Hulk, He-Man, which we get at the end of this episode. But we do get the opportunity to see Fisto in this episode, and Clamp Champ, which is, for me, as a new character. Now, I can't recall if he was ever in the original series of He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, or he was a character in one of the other shows. And saying that, I've been off my game. I still have about 5 DVDs worth to get through in the original series, which we're going to be doing very, very soon. I know I keep saying that, but it is going to happen. So these guys are protecting the palace. Everyone else, the king and queen's gone. When they seen what was happening over Castle Grayskull, the magical energy coming back, and they knew at that point something was going to happen. And after everything that happened with Prince Adam at the beginning of the series, the king had decreed that Grayskull was out of bounds. It's against the law to be there, so for safety's sake he called an evacuation. Everyone's gone bar these 2 guys, and this is when we see the giant Skeletor in the sky, throwing out this magic spell to basically turn everyone in the vicinity of his spell into an army of the living dead, essentially. So, and trying to get Prince Adam and Teela and Andrew to safety, Clampchamp and Fisto actually get changed into this walking dead sort of an army, and so Teela and Andrew have to fight them off and actually end up having to kill them at the end of it all. But they take a little bit of solace in the fact that they're going to go to the reward in Preternia. But Skeletor turns it up, and he's that strong now. He's got not just the power of being the master of the universe, but over life and death and the afterworld as well. And he opens up the palm of his hand. He has their two souls there, and he crushes it, and he's like, I'm sending them downstairs instead of upstairs. At which point Adam takes on Skeletor, and Skeletor, he kind of laughs him off, and he's like, you've no chance, boy, take your best shot. And that's where we seen in the trailer where Adam tells him, the sword was just the conduit, the spark was always me. And I always wondered what would happen, and this is literally the first time he's tried this. What would happen if I raised my hand? What fabulous secret powers would be revealed to me? There again, another line to that opening scene, that opening intro to the 80s show. It's little pieces of fan service I got there that's really, really making me enjoy this show quite a bit. So yes, he calls down the power without the conduit, and he turns into the barbarian version of He-Man, which I did say in the trailer review for this series. There was the early designs for He-Man went through the whole barbarian stage as well, and I think in the original comics, to the best of my knowledge, I've never seen them or read them, but when the first toy line came out, if you bought the toy, you got a little comic book with it, and at that stage they hadn't really got the show or the story to where it eventually got to with the series, which we would know watching the cartoon, and it went through the barbarian stage as far as I know. But this is definitely a reference to the early production days of the character before we even had a cartoon series. So it's good to see that. That's basically the Hulk. He-Man, Adam changes. He doesn't change into He-Man, but he turns into this huge, basically the Incredible Hulk. And Skeletor's freaking out, and that's where the episode finishes at. So I am actually, this is so good. I've been looking forward to this. I've been chomping at the bit, waiting for this episode to come out. These 5 episodes, and unfortunately, just because of time, I'm not going to get a chance to watch any more tonight. So 1 episode a week this week to finish this off is probably the best I can do at the moment. It's like 8 p.m. right now. I have to be getting up for work at 4 a.m. So if I get into this here, watch an episode, record a video, I'm not going to sleep for at least 2 days to get all this done. So I need to get that little bit of self-control back, and we'll do it as we can do it. But in saying that, I will watch the second episode now and get into it. This was, for me, a very emotional episode, I have to say. Now, I was, again, the sorceress going out, getting killed, making that power vacuum for a new sorceress to come in, which, by the way, Skeletor transformed Evelyn into the new sorceress, so she is technically under the same rules as any other sorceress. She's trapped to Grayskull. She can't leave. The sorceress couldn't leave either without transforming into Zor, the eagle. And yes, now Evelyn is connected to Grayskull, so we'll have to see what happens when it comes time for Teela to take up the seat. Is she gonna have to kill Evelyn, or is Evelyn, in my mind, having watched this episode, everything that transpired when Skeletor came out and started fighting with, stabbed Prince Adam killed the sorceress. Everything that she was seeing, she had a look of shock in her face. So I'm starting to wonder at this point, as she's obviously picked the side she wants to be on. That's with Skeletor. But it's revealed to her as well that he was actually using her the whole time after he got destroyed. In episode 1, he was hiding in the staff, rebuilding his body essentially, and then he was whispering, into her ear, everything that he wanted her to do to get her to the point of back at Grayskull. So he's been manipulating the pieces the entire time, even getting the 2 pieces of the power sword, putting them together. He was in there, and she didn't sound happy about hearing the fact that he used her. And Skeletor's like, of course I used you, but I've paid you back, you're the sorceress, blah blah blah. So yes, it was an emotional one for the sorceress to go out. It was expected. I didn't think it was going to happen as quick as that. I thought we were actually going to get that moment with the sorceress and Tila face to face, and the secret coming out then. So it's a nice little detour. I know they're going. It's just, as I say, it's just the fun now of seeing how they're going to get there. So I'm enjoying it. I'm going to get into episode 2 after I hit the upload button here. So guys, if you have lasted to the end of this video, please hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications so you know whenever a new video comes up. I am marking these, even though this is not really a show for kids, that's that grey area where I'm not sure exactly how to mark these on YouTube. So they're going on as made for kids right now, so you're going to have to be subscribed and have that bell icon selected to know whenever these come up, because as far as I know, they don't really push out the notifications that much on the made for kids content, but it's something we'll have to do now. I'm happy enough to do it, but that's going to do it. So if you're listening to this on the audio podcast form, disregard everything I said about turning on the bell notification. It doesn't work like that over here, but you can give us a follow and rate and review. I would appreciate that as well. So that's going to do it, guys. I'll talk to you in the next video, podcast, whatever. I'll see you in the next one.